Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be doing my VCT Pacific Week 4 power rankings and predictions. I'm going to go through and place all 11 teams into these 5 tiers, along with going and doing all of my predictions for this week, predicting every game. Hopefully I'll do better than last week because I think I got 2 games right. Yeah, 2. Last week was kind of crazy though, so I don't blame myself too much, but Jesus, that was bad. I do these videos every week. Usually I do them in separate videos, but this week kind of got a little crazy with me wanting to follow the NFL draft a little bit more. And also just, I don't know, I was just tired this week. I watched all the Pacific games like in 2 days. So that was a little weird. But yeah, like, subscribe if you enjoy. I do this every week, as I said. So stay tuned for that. Also go check out my Twitter where I post player rankings every week for America, Pacific, and EMEA, along with my Twitch where I'm going to be doing more VOD reviews, especially after the draft when I'm like not completely following football all the time. And I can just solely focus on Valorant. But regardless, go check those things out. Links are in the description, everything like that. Let's get right into it. All right, we'll start off here with the bad tier, as always. Starting with GE. I mean, they beat RRQ with a sub and then played like dog shit against Paper X. Like, they played well against RRQ, I thought. But I'm not moving them up yet. I know some other teams didn't play so well this week, or like the past couple weeks. But again, I don't think they've done anything to warrant moving them up. So I'm going to keep them down at 11. I think their game this week ultimately determines who ends up being the 11th team because DFM is my 10th team. They play this week. So yeah, I don't know. I don't have much to say about GE. I've been not necessarily on the hate train, but I've been on the this is one of the worst teams in the world train since the offseason, and I've been largely proved right. Now, DFM, another team that I didn't like going into the year, but I was actually higher on than most people. Like, I didn't think they'd be the worst team in Pacific. I thought GE would. And I think I've been right largely so far, especially with the T1 game, and I think they've looked fine since then. But they just need May, like every map they need May to drop like 25 plus to have a chance in the map. And even then, sometimes they lose. So like, this team needs firepower upgrades bad. May didn't play that well this week, obviously, but I think that's because of how much they need him to play well, that it's kind of like he feels a lot more pressure to have to do things in the middle of the round rather than just maybe playing like he normally would. So it kind of sucks for him, but I think it should be. I think he should be fine in going into the future, especially if they end up making more roster changes and having better players in here. I still do think the calling is actually fairly okay from Anthem, and I think he is actually their best individual player outside of May. So I think those two you can really build around for this roster, and I do really like. It's just the other 3 that you definitely have to start making upgrades on. And yeah, also this team since beating T1 has not been playing to the same level. So there's that, and I don't know, they're just not playing well right now. And I mean, that's to be expected from the team that had not won a game previous to beating T1. So I don't know. Then we'll just do the not the worst tier here because it's just one team where I bleed. I mean, they look a lot more coordinated. I will say that. Like, I think a lot of the time before they were kind of just doing their own thing mostly as individuals. Now I think they're actually have like a full round plan most of the time, which is very good. It's still not good. Like, it still looks really bad from this team. But it's definitely better than it's been. And I think if they keep improving at this rate, I think they can be a decent team. When you have players like Zest and Scary who are still world-class players, even when Scary's IGLing and Zest is calming in a different language, like, he does look, I mean, both of them look so good right now, and they're kind of dragging bleed through these games. Ye is slowly improving. He will not get back to El Diablo form, but he looked decent when they played this week, so there's that. I think the other two players here are fine in Darion and Retla. I think Darion has his moments. Retla's largely just like all the time. He's not like terrible most of the time, which is good. So yeah, that's why I bleed here. I think they're again slowly improving to be a solid team, but I don't think they're there yet, and I don't think they will be there in at any point in this split. So like even if they make playoffs, which I don't even know if that's possible. Um, I think oh yeah, they play DRX this week. They have to win that game to make playoffs, which is just not happening. So regardless, just a team that with more time could be good, but as I've said, right now is just still bad. Scary's IGLing is bad, and all that stuff. So now onto my teams that I feel like have shown flashes of being really good teams, but overall haven't really done anything. And that's going to start with Talon. Now, this is the first week they've actually done something. They beat T1 in a game that I thought it was like really, really weird. I really thought overall they like their ideas and how they played as a team are about the same as they've been. Um, like it wasn't anything wildly different. The big thing that was different though is that there was like so much less, like little to no mid round like trolling that they were doing before from individuals. And I think the calling was a lot better. I mean, it wasn't a lot better, but it was better. And they've shown flashes of this. Like at kickoff against Secret, I thought was their best game that they've played still. Um, again, like I don't remember specific games, but like there have been times where they'll like take a map off a team or almost take a map off a team or something like that, playing really, really good Valorant. And there's other times where they'll like lose a map to Bleed, lose a map to Global, and look really bad, or almost get 2-0'd by Global. Um, I just want to see them do it again before I really skyrocket them from how they played last week. Because if they play that like that again, they might be a top 4 team in Pacific. That might be a really high praise for this team, but I really think if they play like that again, they are a top 4 team in Pacific. I just want to see it again because they have shown this before and then reverted back to being kind of yeah. Then the other team I have here is Zeta. Uh, I think Depp was back in form this week. He looked really good. He had like 29 kills on Ascent. It was kind of crazy. Um, and just it's the same issues with this team. The calling is my main one. I think some of the younger players have issues in the bigger moments, but not every young player is gonna be Demon One. Not every young player is gonna be. I don't want to say Heat because he's kind of been battle tested before, but you kind of get the point. So I think the more games these guys end up playing, the better they'll end up looking. And I think into next split, maybe into next year, this team could be really good as long as either Laz improves as an IGL, which he has not shown to do, or they get an IGL. So I think it could end up being that one of these guys gets dropped, one of the young players, just because they need to pick up an IGL, which kind of sucks for them, but Laz is too good of an individual to let go, so you can't really do that. And then into our great teams tier, where I did consider dropping our number 5 team down a tier into the show flashes tier. But I do still think, even if they don't make playoffs at the end of the split, T1 still is one of the better teams in Pacific. I do think they just got really fucked by their schedule and like all of the stuff surrounding this team. I think they will be a lot better in split 2, even if they don't make playoffs. Maybe they'll make a change. I doubt it, but it's possible. But I do still think they looked kind of bleh versus Talon. Like some of the decisions that Saya makes, some of the just, I mean, honestly, lack of firepower sometimes out of players like Carpe, who's not IGLing anymore. Exurit, who's calling now, doesn't look as good as an individual. He still looks fine, but like, I don't know, it's worse. Izu, I think, looks really good still. And then who's the other guy? Oh my god. Flex. Oh yeah, Rossi. Rossi. He still looks good. Like those Izu and Rossi are still very good. I think when you get to really just Saya, honestly, is where I start having my main concerns, because right now not a lot of initiators are fragging. So I don't really blame Carpe for not doing that. Like Saucy's not fragging. Crashes isn't really fragging like super hard. I think the only initiator, even like only two initiators that I can really think of this year who are like hard fragging are like Trent, who didn't even play that well at kickoff, but has been playing pretty well in like the rest of Americas. And then Kawanzine, who played pretty well at kickoff, and then the rest of it's kind of mid. But like, those are the two initiator players that I think are really like fragging for their teams right now. I think, oh, Narrate, duh. I forgot about him. Rien's at times as well. Like there's some players that like will have a game or something like that where they play really well, but overall there's been no really consistent fraggers at initiator. So don't really blame Carpe for that. And I mean, even though they did some trolling versus Talon, I still think they looked pretty decent. And I think it was just kind of unlucky that you run into literally the best version of Talon when they kind of show up week to week. So like they show up sometimes, don't show up other times. It's just unlucky that they ran into that version of them. And yeah, that's why I still have them in this tier. But man, it's depressing how their season's gone so far. Again, think they'll be better in Split 2, but right now it's just not looking good for this team. Then moving on to Team Secret at number 5. I mean, hey, they really, really exposed Paper X's comps. Like, just all the weaknesses that Paper X has in specifically that Sunset comp, I think, they really exploited those to the max. I think that is what this team is really good at, the anti-stratting and everything like that. I mean, Jeremy played really well in both of their games, even the DFM game that I'm going to talk about in a little bit. And with him playing better, with Borkum playing better, I really think this team's firepower is getting to like they could make Madrid, or not Madrid, fuck. They could make Shanghai and look pretty decent at Shanghai. I don't know if they're competing with top teams with their firepower, but it still looks a lot better on paper. But the DFM game, man, there was so much trolling in that from them. Like there was so much bad stuff from them, and I just they would go up more if not for that game. Like they would probably be my number 4 team. Oh wait, why did I say number 5 for T1? They're 6. Sorry. I forgot I have 3 teams in the international contenders tier now. Spoiler, but I think you can already tell by the fact that only one logo can really fit in here. But yeah. I don't know. They played really solid Valorant. And I think that's the best they've played so far. I don't know if they're going to continue playing at that level because, again, this team has games where they play really, 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 really well against opponents that they know how to play against. But there's other times where they play really bad against even like lesser competition or like just middling teams. That's kind of why they didn't make it to Tokyo and champs last year, is because when it gets to those big games as well, they can't get across the line. And I'm a little scared that's going to happen again to this team. But regardless, stock up for this team. I do think they looked really good in the Paper X game, but the DFM game was kind of bleh. Also, in the Paper X game, they played like by far the worst Paper X has played this year, so that's another thing. And then I know it's probably a hot take to have RRQ still at number 4, but they played with the sub. So again, like I said with DFM, I'm not gonna hold that against them too much. I'm gonna let them prove that they're not too great next week, and then head into playoffs with them a little bit lower or something like that. So yeah. All right. And then onto our international contenders tier, where we're going to start with DRX. I know some people probably want them rated 2nd or even 1st. And I do think they played really well versus Genji. Stacks is calling, and just honestly, the overall team play of this team in chemistry looks better every week. So does Bane. So does Foxy on Sentinel. I think that was an incredible move. Everybody hated his Viper, and I didn't think it was great, but I do think it kind of fit him a little bit, which I think the Sentinel swap made a lot of sense, to swap him over to like the Killjoy, the Cypher stuff, and then have Bane play the Omen when they're playing double controller, and then the Initiator when they're not. I just think it's such a great move by this team. I think it's the best roster move they've made in a while. Like, I don't remember exactly how the team was built, so I could be wrong saying that it's the best roster move they've ever made, but it's definitely up there. Um, and I still think the core three here of Stacks, Mako, and Buzz are some insane fraggers. Um, I I want to see it in playoffs. Like, a lot of times people, I don't want to say people overrate team success because that's kind of stupid. But like, before I rate DRX back at the number one spot in Pacific, I want to see them do it in playoffs. I want to see them make it to Shanghai. I want to see them get like at least to the final before I say anything close to the fact that this team is the best team in Pacific. But obviously, they are doing very well for themselves right now. They should make Shanghai. I would be kind of surprised if they didn't. And yeah, moving on to Genji, and then Paper X is my first spot, but I'll talk about Genji first. Obviously, the loss to DRX does not feel great. I think they kind of did some trolling in that series, but overall, the individuals are still there. I think they can fix some of their issues by the time playoffs come around, and they'll be fine. I still think they're a top two team in Pacific. I still think they're going to make it to Shanghai. Anything else is just a shock to me, honestly. It's just, I mean, this team is really good. Like, they made it to Madrid. I'm going to have these two as my top two every week until proven otherwise. Obviously, I might have DRX over Genji heading into Shanghai, or DRX even over Paper X, but I'm not exactly sure. And then Paper X, I don't care that they lost a secret. It's regular season Paper X. It does not matter to me, honestly. And yeah, with that, we'll move on to our predictions since I think I spent a little bit too long on the rest of the teams. All right. We're going to do my pick'ems now for week 4, and then I'll do my bettit.gg predictions. I'll explain that a little bit after this, if you don't know what that is. Starting with Bleed Paper X. Bleed was improving, but they're playing as Paper X, so they're going to lose. Then Detonation versus Global, my two bottom ranked teams, which, nice, dude. I mean, this game is very close, but I'm going to side with the team that has May. I am just really high on him. I really love May. So I'm just going to pick them here. I'm not going to feel too bad about it if Global win, honestly. But yeah, I don't know. This is 50-50. If you pick Global here, I don't blame you. I know DFM the past like 2 weeks hasn't played as well. But I think if May comes out swinging and drops 25 on their head, then it's just unwinnable for GE, honestly. Then T1 Zeta. I've really gone back and forth on this one. I really, really have. And these two teams were right next to each other in my power rankings. Now they are a tier apart. And I'm still thinking about it now because this is a game for both teams to have a shot at qualifying for playoffs. I believe for T1 it will be the game to qualify to playoffs. It might be like map around differential with Detonation. Not exactly sure. But I think in the pressure game, I'm going to take the team with more experienced veterans, which is T1. I don't trust either of these teams in a high pressure game, but I do trust T1 just a little bit more. And then Team Secret Talon, same deal here. Very important game for both of these teams. And again, I'm going to take the team that throughout the season, I mean, honestly, Zeta's been more consistent than T1, but in this game, Secret, I'm going to take the more consistent team throughout the season and pick them to beat Talon, especially with all the young talent on Talon. I think Secret will win this game. I think maybe by the end of the year, you could see Talon beating them. I know Talon beat them in the first game, but Secret bounced back after playing like shit in that first kickoff game and beat Talon pretty handily the second time. So as long as we're not getting the Talon that showed up last week, which overall hasn't showed up too much this year, I'm going to pick Secret over them. Then DRX over Bleed, same idea as Paper X. And then Gen G, RRQ. I expect this to be relatively close, but I don't see a world where RRQ ends up beating Gen G, especially with how they've played the last few weeks. I'm just going to take Gen G. And yeah, overall, not too hot of takes with any of these. I think Plat Chat picked Global Esports as a Plat Chat guarantee, which honestly helped me pick Detonation with their record so far this year. And then T1 Zeta, I think, is pretty close. And I think other than that, I think everything else is pretty chalk, honestly. Maybe Secret Talon. People are going the other way. But overall, I think these are pretty normal picks for most people. All right, I actually decided, I was looking at the Beddit predictions, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to pick Zeta in this game versus T1. So I just wanted to let everybody know that I changed that pick and show it here. Will it let me switch the tab? No? Okay, I'm just going to take this out of full screen. Whatever. I don't care. It does look worse, but fixed it. So yeah, I think I'm going to take Zeta in the Beddit predictions. I'm not going to put a lot of points on them, but I'm going to put like 200, even though I do have quite a few points. I think I'm going to bet on every game, honestly, because I think a lot of the Pacific games this week are pretty chalk, but I'm going to put my money where my mouth is. Not even money, but basically, if you're wondering what Beddit is, it's just like a free betting site where you can just like, you start with 1,000 points and you can just gamble the points on whatever games. It's like the Twitch chat betting kind of thing that they have, where you can like bet the points on one side, and I don't know exactly what it's called on Twitch. But yeah, the gambling on Twitch with the channel points and stuff. That's what it's called. So it's basically the same thing, but yeah, I think I'm just gonna bet 200 on every team on like the close games. So like those two are close. This one's close. I'm gonna take Secret. I feel pretty confident about the Secret pick, but I'm not like super confident. So those are the close ones. I'm gonna put like 400 on Genji, Pacific. I don't feel super comfortable betting on Paper X, I won't lie. So I think I'm going to put like 800 on DRX. Will do. And then Pacific, like, I don't know. Paper X in the regular season just doesn't try too much. So I'm going to put 200 on him to beat Bleed. So yeah. I'm just going to go with my predictions, honestly, in Pacific, since I have quite a few points. I'm going to let those all try to get me what it like. Usually I'll throw like a couple points on like a underdog or something, but I think this week I'm just going to pick who I think will win in every game and try out that strategy. Hopefully that works out a little bit better for me. But yeah, if you guys enjoy, make sure to leave a like, subscribe, all that kind of stuff, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.